The night was colder than hunger, and hunger was already killing her from the inside. Her boots were torn, her coat smelled of dust and rain, and every step she took along the empty road felt like a reminder that the world had moved on without her. 3 years of loss, humiliation, and silent endurance had stripped her down to one painful belief: that her body was the only currency she had left to survive. Not her dreams, not her dignity, just flesh that could buy her a warm bed for one more night. That was the lie she carried in her chest as she stood beneath the dying glow of a roadside lantern, waiting for someone, anyone, to notice her existence. Before the story goes any further, if you believe that kindness can change lives, that broken people deserve second chances, and that one small act of humanity can rewrite a destiny, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel Wild West Tale. Your support keeps stories like this alive. She had not always been this way. Once, she was a woman with soft hands and loud laughter, with dreams that stretched far beyond the dusty towns of the West. She had loved deeply, trusted easily, and believed that hard work and honesty were enough to keep a person safe. But life had been cruel in ways she never saw coming. An abusive home she escaped too late. A man she trusted who broke her spirit instead of protecting it. A fire that took the only place she could call home. One disaster followed another until survival became more important than pride. Over time, hunger erased shame, and fear erased hope. She learned to sleep lightly, to keep her back against walls, and to read danger in the smallest movements. Every night, she promised herself she would find another way. Every morning, she woke up realizing she had none. That night felt no different. Her stomach burned, her fingers were numb, and her body ached with exhaustion. She had tried asking for work earlier that day, but doors closed quickly when people saw her worn clothes and hollow eyes. She had begged once, then never again. Begging hurt more than hunger. So she stood there, convincing herself that what she was about to offer did not define her. That it was temporary. That survival had no morality. Still, her heart felt heavy with self-disgust, and tears threatened to fall every time she imagined her younger self seeing her like this. Then she noticed him, a lone cowboy riding slowly down the road, his horse moving with the calm confidence of long miles traveled. He did not look rich. His coat was faded, his boots scarred, and his face carried the kind of lines that only time and hardship could carve. But there was something different about him. He did not stare at her the way others did. His eyes did not measure or judge. They simply noticed. When he stopped, the silence between them felt heavier than words ever could. She approached him with the same rehearsed bravery she had used before. Her voice almost failed her, but desperation pushed her forward. She believed she already knew how this would end. A nod, a deal, a temporary escape from the cold. What she did not expect was the way his expression changed, not with desire, but with something closer to pain. Something like recognition, as if he had seen this kind of brokenness before, perhaps in himself. Instead of reaching for her, he dismounted slowly and removed his coat. He draped it over her shoulders without touching her skin, as if he understood how fragile she felt. The warmth shocked her more than the cold ever had. No one had covered her like that in years. No one had given without taking. Confusion clouded her mind, and suspicion followed close behind. Kindness, she had learned, often came with a price. He led her to a small cabin a short distance from the road. It was modest, barely more than a shelter, but it was solid, dry, and warm. He lit a fire and placed food on the table. She watched his every move, waiting for the moment when he would demand payment. But it never came. He slept on the floor, giving her the bed without hesitation. That night, she cried silently into a clean pillow, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar feeling of safety. For the first time in years, she slept without fear. Morning brought sunlight through the small window, and with it, an ache she did not know how to name. Gratitude mixed with shame. She expected him to be gone, but he was outside tending to his horse. He offered her food again and spoke of work, not the kind that cost her dignity, but honest labor. The ranch nearby needed help. It would be hard, but it would be hers. No conditions. No expectations beyond effort. Days turned into weeks. Her hands blistered and healed. Her body grew stronger, not from being used, but from working. She learned the rhythm of the land, the comfort of routine, and the quiet satisfaction of earning her place. The cowboy never treated her as something to be saved or owned. He treated her as someone rebuilding. Slowly, the lie she had believed for so long began to crack. Maybe her body was not all she had left. Maybe she still had worth beyond survival. Still, the past did not release her easily. Nightmares woke her drenched in sweat. Loud voices made her flinch. She struggled to believe the stability would last. She waited for the kindness to end, for the truth to reveal itself as another trap. But it never did. The cowboy remained steady, patient, and respectful. He spoke little of his own pain, but she saw it in his quiet moments, in the way he stared at the horizon as if remembering things best left unspoken. They were two wounded souls walking parallel paths, never crossing boundaries, yet slowly healing in each other's presence. Winter came hard that year. Storms trapped them indoors, forcing silence and reflection. She found herself opening up without meaning to, releasing stories she had buried deep to survive. Each time, she expected judgment. Each time, she found none. Instead, there was understanding, and something else, belief. Belief that she was more than what had happened to her. That she was not ruined. That she was still capable of choosing a future. One night, as snow piled against the door, she realized something that frightened her more than hunger ever had. She was no longer surviving. She was living. And if she lost this, it would break her in a way she might not recover from. But loss did not come. Spring followed winter, as it always does. The land bloomed, and so did she. Her laughter returned, softer than before, but real. Her eyes held light again. The cowboy eventually left, as lone cowboys often do. There were other roads calling him, other fences to mend. He left her with the cabin, the work, and a future she had never believed she deserved. When he rode away, she felt the ache of goodbye, but not abandonment. He had not saved her. He had simply reminded her how to save herself. Years later, she would tell her story to others who stood where she once had, believing they were worth nothing more than their bodies. She would tell them about the night kindness found her on a cold road. About the man who proved that respect could exist without desire, and that dignity could be restored with patience and humanity. If this story has touched your heart, if it made you feel something deep and real, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Wild West Tale. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive. And before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with a single word that represents what this story made you feel: hope, pain, healing, or strength. Your words matter more than you know. Because sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one person who proves that you are more than what the world forced you to become.